Captain Maria Santos watched the strange ship drift slowly toward their exploration vessel. The alien craft looked like a crystal flower made of light. It was beautiful but also damaged. Scorch marks covered its surface and one wing hung broken. "Captain, they're sending a signal," said Lieutenant Kim from the communication station. "It's not any language we know, but they're trying to translate it." Maria nodded. This was humanity's first meeting with aliens. After 200 years of space travel, they had finally found someone else among the stars. Her heart beat fast, but she kept her voice calm. "Send back our own greeting. Use the universal math signals we prepared." The alien ship stopped moving toward them. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then a new signal came through. This time it was in broken English. "Please, help. We are hurt. Children sick." Maria looked at her crew. They all knew this moment would change everything for humanity. "Open a channel," she ordered. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Human Ship Explorer. We want to help you. Can you dock with our ship?" The alien voice came back, filled with relief. "Yes." "Thank you. We come in peace. We are Cathara." 3 hours later, Maria stood in the docking bay watching the most amazing sight of her life. The aliens were small, about the size of human children. Their skin looked like living crystal that changed colors with their emotions. Right now they glowed soft blue, which seemed to mean sadness or fear. The leader stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice sounded like gentle music. "I am Elder Zin. We thank you for help. Our ship is dying and our young ones need medicine." Dr. Rebecca Chen, the ship's doctor, stepped up beside Maria. "What kind of medicine do they need?" Zin's crystal skin flickered with surprise. You really want to help strangers?" "Of course," Maria said. "That's what good people do." Zin's skin turned bright yellow, which seemed to mean happiness. "In all our travels, no one has said this to us. Everyone wants to hurt us or use us." Over the next few days, the humans learned the Cathara's sad story. They came from a beautiful world full of crystal cities and singing forests. But a warlike species called the Zephyrians had invaded their planet. The Zephyrians wanted to study the Cathara's biology and steal their technology. "We are not fighters," Zin explained to Maria as they sat in the ship's garden. "We make things that heal and grow. We sing to plants and help them flourish, but the Zephyrians only know how to destroy and take." "How many of you escaped?" Maria asked. Zin's skin turned dark purple with sadness. "Only a few thousand. Most of our people are still trapped on our homeworld. The Zephyrians use them for terrible experiments." Dr. Chen had been working with Cathara healers to treat their sick children. She came to Maria with amazing news. "Captain, you have to see this. The Cathara medicine is incredible. They can regrow lost limbs, cure cancer, fix genetic diseases, things we thought were impossible." Maria found the Cathara children playing with human crew members in the recreation room. Despite everything they had been through, the children laughed and played just like human kids. One small Cathara girl had been born without an arm. Using their biotechnology, the Cathara healers were growing her a new one right before everyone's eyes. "This is a miracle," Dr. Chen whispered. "Maria, they're offering to teach us everything. They want to share all their medical knowledge with humanity." "Why?" Maria asked Zin. "Why would you trust us with such powerful knowledge?" Zin's skin glowed warm gold. "Because you helped us when we were strangers in trouble. Because your people smile at our children and share your food with us. Because when we told you our story, you cried for our pain." It was true. Many of the human crew had tears in their eyes when they heard what the Zephyrians had done to the Cathara people. Word of the first contact spread quickly through human space. Ships arrived from Earth and the colonies, bringing scientists, doctors, and diplomats. The Cathara refugees were welcomed on human worlds. Cities competed to invite Cathara families to settle with them. 6 months after first contact, Maria attended the official signing of the Human-Cathara Friendship Treaty on Earth. She watched as President Johnson and Elder Zin pressed their hands together on a crystal document that would bind their peoples as allies. "Today we welcome our new friends to the human family," President Johnson announced to the billions watching across human space. "The Cathara will have safe homes on our worlds. In return, they will help us become better at healing and growing life." Elder Zin spoke next, his skin bright with rainbow colors of joy. "Humanity has shown us that goodness exists in the universe. You could have taken our knowledge by force like others tried to do. Instead, you offered friendship. Our children will grow up free because of your kindness." Maria smiled as she watched Cathara children playing with human children in the palace gardens. The crystal being's healing technology was already saving millions of human lives. Diseases that had killed people for thousands of years were now curable. Desert planets were becoming green worlds where Cathera plant singers helped crops grow. But it was more than just technology. The Cathera's gentle wisdom was changing humanity too. They taught humans new ways to live in harmony with nature. Their philosophy of helping others without expecting reward was spreading through human culture. Dr. Chen, now head of the Joint Human-Cathera Medical Program, often said that the Cathera had healed humanity's spirit as much as they had healed human bodies. Not everyone in the galaxy was happy about the new friendship. Reports came in of other species watching human space with jealousy or suspicion. Some called humans fools for helping refugees instead of conquering them. Others worried that humanity was becoming too powerful with Cathera technology. But Maria wasn't worried about other species' opinions. She was proud of what humanity had chosen to do. When they found strangers in trouble, they helped. When they made friends, they protected them. It was that simple. At the end of the treaty ceremony, young Cathera performers sang a traditional song of their people. The crystal beings' voices created harmonies that made everyone in the audience feel peaceful and hopeful. Maria noticed that many diplomats and journalists were crying happy tears. After the ceremony, Zin approached Maria. "Captain Santos, there is something I must tell you. The Zephyrians are still looking for us. They have spies everywhere. Someday they will find us here." Maria looked at the Cathera elder, then at the human and Cathera children playing together nearby. "Let them come," she said quietly. "They'll find that threatening our friends was a big mistake." Zin's skin flickered with surprise and then glowed with trust. "You would fight the mighty Zephyrian hegemony for us?" "Elder Zin," Maria said, putting a gentle hand on his crystal shoulder. "You're family now, and humans protect their family." As the sun set over Earth's capital city, Maria watched the crystal children teach human children how to sing to flowers. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she was content knowing that humanity had chosen friendship over fear, cooperation over conquest. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when someone threatened humanity's friends. Admiral Corex of the Zephyrian hegemony stared at the tactical display showing human space. His forearms moved across different control panels as he studied the intelligence reports. After 3 years of searching, his hunters had finally found the escaped Cathera refugees. "Sir," called his aide, a nervous Trilaxian who had learned to fear the Admiral's temper. "The tracking drones have confirmed it. Over 3,000 Cathera are living on human worlds." Corex's scaled face showed satisfaction. The Cathera were valuable property of the hegemony. Their healing abilities and biotechnology were too important to let escape. Plus, letting refugees go free would give other conquered species dangerous ideas about rebellion. "What do we know about these humans?" Corex asked. The aide consulted his datapad. "They are a young species, Admiral. Only 200 years in space. They control 12 star systems with about 50 billion population. Their technology is basic compared to ours." Corex laughed, a harsh sound that made his bridge crew nervous. 50 billion primitives think they can harbor hegemony property? How amusing. The Zephyrian hegemony controlled over 400 star systems. They had conquered dozens of species over the past 1,000 years. Their fleet could destroy entire worlds. These humans would learn quickly not to interfere with hegemony business. "Admiral," another officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the human government. They want to meet with us." "Put it on screen," Corex ordered. The main viewer showed a human woman in a dark blue uniform. She had gray hair and calm eyes that reminded Corex of deep water. Her expression was polite but not afraid. "I am Ambassador Sarah Chen of the United Human Federation. We welcome you to human space, Admiral Corex." Corex was surprised. Most species trembled when they first saw the hegemony's war fleet. This human seemed relaxed, almost bored. "I am Admiral Corex, Supreme Commander of the 3rd Hegemony Fleet. You are harboring Cathera refugees who belong to the hegemony. Surrender them immediately." Ambassador Chen tilted her head slightly. "The Cathera are not property, Admiral. They are our friends and allies. They have full citizenship rights in the Federation." Corex's forearms tightened into fists. How dare this primitive contradict him? "You do not understand the situation, human. The Cathera are conquered subjects of the hegemony. We have legal claim to them under galactic law." "I'm afraid we don't recognize that claim," Chen replied calmly. "The Cathera came to us freely, seeking refuge. We granted it. That's the end of the matter. The Admiral stood up from his command chair. Around the bridge, his crew watched nervously. Everyone knew that Admiral Corex's anger could be deadly. Listen carefully, human. I command 800 ships and 500,000 soldiers. Your entire species has maybe a dozen military vessels. Do not test the hegemony's patience. Ambassador Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was even calmer than before. Admiral, I'm going to give you some free advice. Load your ships. Leave human space immediately. Do not threaten our friends. You will not receive another warning. The transmission ended. Corex stared at the blank screen in complete shock. In his 300 years of service, no one had ever spoken to him like that. Lesser species begged, pleaded, or surrendered immediately when faced with hegemony power. Sir, his aide asked carefully, what are your orders? Corex turned to his command staff. Did that primitive just threaten me? It sounded like a warning, sir, the aide replied. A warning? From a species that learned to fly between stars last week? Corex began to laugh. Soon his entire bridge crew was laughing too, though some sounded nervous. Admiral, called the communications officer. We're receiving reports from our intelligence network. The humans have been in contact with several other species. Word of this confrontation is spreading quickly across the galaxy. Corex stopped laughing. The hegemony ruled through fear and respect. If they appeared weak by letting humans defy them, other conquered species might get ideas about rebellion. Sir, said the tactical officer, our scouts report that human ships are moving throughout their space. They appear to be evacuating civilians from border worlds. Of course they are, Corex said with satisfaction. They finally understand what they're facing. How long until they surrender the Kithara? The aide checked his reports. Unknown, sir. They're still calling it a standard emergency drill. Corex walked to the front of his bridge and looked out at the stars of human space. Somewhere out there, thousands of valuable Kithara were hiding among these upstart humans. His emperor had given him clear orders. Recover the refugees and make an example of anyone who helped them. Send a message to Hegemony Command, he ordered. Tell them we have located the Kithara refugees. We will recover them and punish the humans who harbored them. Estimated time to completion, 1 week. Yes, Admiral. What about the human warning? Corex's scaled face twisted into a cruel smile. What about it? They warned us not to threaten their friends. Too bad we don't take orders from primitives. He turned to his fleet commander. Begin Phase 1. I want reconnaissance drones monitoring every human world. Map their defenses, count their ships, identify their leaders. Let them see our scouts. Fear will make them more cooperative. And if they don't cooperate? The fleet commander asked. Then we'll show the galaxy what happens to species who defy the hegemony. As the massive hegemony fleet began moving deeper into human space, Admiral Corex felt confident about the coming battle. His ships were larger, his weapons more advanced, his soldiers more experienced. The humans had made their choice by protecting the Kithara. Now they would pay for that choice. What Corex didn't know was that humans had been making preparations since the day they first met the Kithara. While diplomats talked about friendship and doctors shared medical knowledge, human military planners had been asking a simple question. What would we do if the Zephyrians came looking for our friends? The answer to that question was about to reshape the galaxy. On Earth, President Johnson received a report from Ambassador Chen about her conversation with Admiral Corex. He read it twice, then looked up at his military advisors. Is everything ready? He asked quietly. General Morrison nodded. All preparations are complete, Mr. President. We've been waiting for this day for 3 years. The Kithara? Safe in the deep shelters. They don't like being separated from their human friends, but they understand the danger. President Johnson thought about the crystal children he had played with just last month. Kithara kids who laughed like human kids who called Earth home now. Gentlemen, he said finally, someone just threatened our family. Make sure they understand why that was a mistake. Meanwhile, in the outer regions of human space, Captain Maria Santos received new orders for her ship. She smiled as she read them. After 3 years of peace, it was time to remind the galaxy why humans had conquered their homeworld before they ever reached the stars. The hegemony had been warned. Now they would learn. Admiral Corex stood before the tactical display, showing human space spread out like a 3-dimensional map. Red dots marked where his reconnaissance drones had been operating for the past week. Green markers showed human military movements. Everything was going according to his plan. "Report," he ordered his intelligence officer.
Sir, we've mapped 12 human star systems completely.
Their defenses are even weaker than we thought. They have maybe 40 military ships total, and most are small patrol vessels. Their largest ships are only half the size of our destroyers. Corex nodded with satisfaction. What about their ground forces? Minimal, Admiral. Each world has a small defense force, but nothing that could stand against hegemony Marines. Most humans seem to be farmers, scientists, or factory workers. Perfect. And their response to our presence? The officer checked his datapad. Mixed, sir. They're tracking our drones, but not attacking them. Some human ships have approached our scouts, but they always maintain safe distances. It's almost like they want us to know they're watching us. Corex found this amusing. The humans were probably trying to look brave while being too scared to actually fight. It was typical behavior from weak species when faced with hegemony power. Admiral, called his communications officer, we're receiving a transmission from the human colony at Kepler 442. They're requesting a meeting. Put them on screen. The viewer showed a middle-aged human man in civilian clothes. He looked nervous but determined. Behind him, Corex could see crystal structures that meant Kythera refugees were living on this world. I'm Governor Williams of New Boston Colony. Admiral, we need to talk. There's nothing to discuss, Corex replied coldly. Surrender the Kythera refugees on your world and no harm will come to your people. I can't do that, Admiral. Those Kythera families are citizens now. They have homes here, jobs, children in our schools. This is their home. Corex leaned forward. Then you choose to protect them? Yes, we do. Even knowing that I have enough firepower to turn your world into glass? Governor Williams swallowed hard, but his voice stayed steady. Even knowing that. The transmission ended. Corex turned to his staff with a predatory smile. Did you all hear that? The humans choose to protect their precious Kythera friends. Even when faced with destruction, they won't be reasonable. What are your orders, sir? Asked the fleet commander. Begin Phase 2. I want training exercises around every human world that harbors Kythera. Weapons drills, combat maneuvers, landing practice. Let them see what's coming. Within hours, massive hegemony warships began appearing in orbit around human colonies. They conducted threatening flyovers of cities where Kythera families lived. Their fighters performed mock attack runs on human defense installations. Hegemony Marines practiced assault landings on uninhabited moons, making sure human satellites could record everything. The psychological pressure was enormous. On every threatened world, human children asked their parents why the scary alien ships were circling their homes. Kythera refugees wept crystal tears, blaming themselves for bringing danger to their human friends. But something strange was happening. Instead of panic, the human response was calm organization. Emergency drills evacuated civilians efficiently. Cargo ships moved supplies to safe positions. Military vessels took defensive formations that looked weak, but covered all the important areas. Sir, reported the intelligence officer, the humans are responding to our pressure, but not the way we expected. What do you mean? Corex demanded. They're not begging for mercy or offering to negotiate. They're preparing for war, but their preparations don't make sense. They're acting like they think they can win. Corex studied the tactical display. The human formations did look odd. Their ships were spread thin, seemingly trying to defend too many places at once. It was exactly the kind of mistake a young species would make. They're probably hoping other species will come to help them, he decided. Have any alien governments contacted us about this situation? Several, Admiral. The Galactic Trade Union sent a message asking us to resolve this peacefully. The Centauri Republic offered to mediate. The Vegan Confederacy requested that we avoid unnecessary damage to shipping routes. And their military support? None, sir. Everyone is staying neutral. The humans are completely alone. This was perfect. The galaxy was watching, but no one would interfere. When the hegemony crushed humanity, it would send a clear message to every species. Don't harbor hegemony refugees. Admiral, the communications officer announced. Incoming priority message from Hegemony Command. Emperor Zephys appeared on the main screen. His ancient face showed impatience with the situation. Admiral Corex, why are the humans still protecting our property? Your reports promised a quick resolution. Majesty, the humans are proving more stubborn than expected. but their resistance is meaningless. I request permission to begin military action. Granted. Make it quick and visible. The galaxy must see that defying the hegemony has consequences. It will be done, Majesty. After the Emperor's image faded, Corex felt excitement building in his chest. Finally, he could stop playing games and show these humans real power. Fleet Commander, prepare for Phase 3. I want a demonstration of our capabilities. Choose a military target on the edge of human space, something big enough to get their attention but small enough to destroy quickly. What about the Kythera refugees? We'll give the humans one last chance to surrender them. If they refuse, Corex smiled coldly. Well, the Kythera will learn what happens to their protectors. The chosen target was Outpost 7, a human research station studying a dangerous nebula. It had 50 researchers, 25 security guards, and 3 Kythera scientists working on a joint project. Perfect for Corex's demonstration. As the hegemony fleet approached the isolated outpost, Admiral Corex recorded a message that would be broadcast throughout human space. People of humanity, you have ignored our reasonable requests and defied hegemony authority. Your leaders chose to protect criminals instead of protecting you. Watch carefully as we demonstrate the price of your foolishness. Surrender the Kythera refugees within 24 hours, or every human world will suffer the same fate as Outpost 7. The human defense ships at the outpost didn't run away as expected. Instead, they formed a protective formation around the research station. It was touching in a pathetic way. Sir, reported the tactical officer, the humans are broadcasting a message on all frequencies. Let me hear it. A calm female voice filled the bridge. This is Captain Sarah Martinez of the Human Defense Force. Unknown vessels. You are targeting a civilian research station. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Corex laughed so hard he had to sit down. Face the consequences? There are 3 tiny human ships facing 800 hegemony vessels, and they're threatening us? But as he looked at the tactical display, something felt wrong. The human ships were positioned strangely, almost like they were trying to draw attention to themselves. And where were the evacuation ships? Why weren't the humans running? Admiral, called his sensor operator urgently. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Something big is happening. Before Corex could respond, space around Outpost 7 lit up with weapons fire. But it wasn't coming from the human ships they could see. It was coming from human ships they couldn't see. Impossible, Corex shouted as his tactical display filled with red warning symbols. Where did they come from? The answer was about to change everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity. Stealth ships, Admiral Corex screamed as his bridge exploded into chaos. How do they have stealth ships? His tactical display showed dozens of human vessels appearing as if from nowhere. They emerged from asteroid fields, from behind moons, from the empty space between worlds where his sensors had shown nothing moments before. Admiral, his weapons officer called frantically. We're taking heavy fire from multiple directions. These aren't the weak ships our intelligence reported. Corex watched in disbelief as human vessels tore through his forward squadrons. These ships moved with deadly precision, using tactics he had never seen before. They struck hard, then vanished before his gunners could target them properly. How many ships are out there? He demanded. Unknown, sir. They keep disappearing and reappearing. Our sensors can't track them properly. Worse than the stealth technology was what the humans were doing with it. This wasn't random fighting. Every attack was carefully planned to cause maximum damage while protecting human positions. Within minutes, Corex had lost 30 ships and hadn't destroyed a single human vessel. Sir, called his communications officer, we're receiving signals from throughout the system. All our reconnaissance drones are going offline. What do you mean offline? They're being destroyed, Admiral. Or captured. And sir, we're losing contact with our supply bases. Corex's blood went cold. His supply bases were hundreds of light years away, far beyond human space. If the humans could reach them, get me a status report from all our rear positions, he ordered. The reports that came back were disasters. Human strike forces had somehow appeared deep behind hegemony lines. They were hitting supply convoys, destroying fuel depots, capturing communication relays. Entire hegemony systems were reporting human ships where no humans should be able to go. Admiral, his aide said quietly, we're cut off. The humans have severed all our supply lines and blocked all our retreat routes. This was impossible. The humans were a young species with basic technology. They couldn't have planned and executed such a complex operation. Unless... How long? Corex asked in a hollow voice. How long what, sir? How long have they been planning this? His intelligence officer checked his reports with shaking hands. Based on the coordination required for this operation. Years, Admiral. They must have been preparing for this since their first contact with the Cathara. Corex realized the horrible truth. The humans had expected this confrontation. While publicly celebrating friendship with the Cathara, they had been secretly preparing for war with anyone who threatened their crystal allies. Sir, the tactical officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the lead human ship. Put it on screen. The viewer showed a human woman in military uniform. She looked young, but her eyes held the cold confidence of someone who had planned every move in this battle. I'm Captain Sarah Martinez of the Human Defense Force. Admiral Corex, you are surrounded. Surrender your fleet and we'll allow your crews to return home safely. Surrender, Corex snarled. I command the 3rd Hegemony Fleet. We don't surrender to primitives. Captain Martinez's expression didn't change. Admiral, in the last hour you've lost 87 ships. We've lost 0. Your supply lines are cut, your reinforcements are blocked, and your retreat routes are mined. This battle is over. Impossible. We have superior numbers and better weapons. You have bigger ships, Martinez corrected. That's not the same thing. Numbers don't matter when you can't hit what you can't see. On his tactical display, Corex watched his fleet formations falling apart as human ships struck from unexpected angles. His weapons could barely target the fast-moving human vessels before they disappeared again. Your technology, he demanded. Where did you get stealth ships? We built them, Martinez replied simply. Humans are good at making things that kill other things. We've had 3 years to get ready for you. 3 years? You couldn't have advanced so far in 3 years. Captain Martinez smiled, and for the first time it wasn't a nice smile. Admiral, do you know what humans did before we reached the stars? Corex didn't answer, but his aide consulted his data files. They fought wars on their homeworld, constant conflicts for thousands of years. That's right, Martinez continued. We spent our entire history learning how to fight. When we found the Cathara, we learned something else. What's worth fighting for? You threaten our friends, Admiral. That was a mistake. The battle around Outpost 7 was becoming a massacre. Hegemony ships tried to form defensive positions, but human vessels appeared wherever the defenses were weakest. Corex's crews were experienced fighters, but they were facing tactics designed by a species that had perfected warfare over millennia. Admiral, his fleet commander reported desperately, we need to retreat. Retreat to where? Corex shouted back. They've blocked every jump point. It was true. Somehow human ships had positioned themselves at every possible escape route. The entire Hegemony fleet was trapped in a system where they couldn't run and couldn't win. Sir, the communications officer announced, message from Hegemony Command. Emperor Zephys is demanding a status report. Corex stared at the communication panel. How could he tell his emperor that the mighty Third Fleet was being destroyed by the species they had dismissed as primitives? Admiral, Captain Martinez's voice came through the speakers again. I'm going to make this simple. You have 2 choices. Surrender now and your crews live. Keep fighting, and we'll show you why humans conquered their homeworld before they ever left it. Corex looked around his bridge at his terrified crew. These were veterans who had conquered dozens of worlds. Now they cowered as invisible human ships picked apart their fleet with surgical precision. What guarantee do we have, we asked. The same guarantee we gave the Cathara, Martinez replied. When humans make a promise, we keep it. Surrender and you'll be treated fairly. Your wounded will be healed, your crews will be fed, and you'll eventually go home. We're not like you, Admiral. We don't conquer people for fun. Corex's tactical officer looked up from his station. Sir, we've lost over half our fleet. If we keep fighting, the Admiral understood. If they kept fighting, none of them would survive to see home again. All ships, he broadcast to his remaining fleet, stand down. Repeat, all ships stand down. As hegemony weapons powered down across the system, Captain Martinez spoke again. Admiral, you and your officers will be transferred to human custody. Your crews will be processed at secure facilities where they'll be kept safe until arrangements can be made for their return. You're really going to let us live? Corex asked, confused. Admiral, we're not monsters. We're just very good at stopping monsters. As human boarding teams began securing hegemony ships, Corex had time to think about what had happened. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had demolished it so completely that the galaxy would hear about this battle for centuries. But more than that, they had done it while keeping their promise to protect the Kythera refugees. Not one crystal being had been harmed in the fighting. "Captain Martinez," he called out as human marines escorted him from his bridge. "Yes, Admiral?" "The warning your ambassador gave me." "Was this what she meant?" Martinez nodded. "We told you not to threaten our friends. You chose not to listen." As Corex was led away, he realized that humanity had taught the galaxy a lesson that would not be forgotten. The crystal beings were under human protection now, and humans, it turned out, were very good at keeping their word. Both kinds of words, promises and warnings. 6 months after the Battle of Outpost 7, Ambassador Sarah Chen sat in the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Station. Representatives from dozens of species watched her with a mixture of respect, fear, and curiosity. The chamber had never been so quiet. "The motion before us today," announced the Altarian Council President, "is whether to formally recognize the Human Protection Compact." Ambassador Chen. Sarah stood and looked around the chamber. Many of these beings had once dismissed humanity as a young, weak species. That had changed dramatically after the hegemony's defeat. "Honored delegates," she began. 3 years ago, humanity encountered refugees fleeing from oppression. We chose to help them. When threatened, we chose to protect them. Today, I'm here to explain why this choice benefits everyone. The Vegan Confederacy representative raised a tentacle. "Ambassador Chen, your species destroyed the Third Hegemony fleet in a matter of hours. Many of us are concerned about human military capabilities." Sarah nodded. "I understand your concerns. Let me be clear about humanity's position. We have no interest in conquering other species or building an empire. We want to trade, learn, and live in peace, but we will protect those who cannot protect themselves." "And if we refuse to join your compact?" asked the Centauri delegate. "Then nothing changes for you," Sarah replied simply. "The compact isn't about forcing anyone to do anything. It's about making a promise. Leave peaceful species alone and we'll leave you alone. Hurt innocent people and you'll deal with us." Emperor Zephys appeared on the main screen via subspace transmission. The ancient ruler of the hegemony looked tired and defeated. Half his military was gone. His supply lines were still disrupted, and several conquered species had declared independence while his forces were scattered. "The hegemony agrees to the terms," he announced bitterly. "We will no longer pursue the Kythera refugees or interfere in human space." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Sarah said politely. "In return, human forces will withdraw from hegemony territory and release all captured personnel." It wasn't just the hegemony that had learned lessons from the battle. Intelligence reports showed that aggressive species throughout the galaxy were reconsidering their expansion plans. The speed and efficiency of humanity's victory had shocked everyone. "Ambassador," called the delegate from the Tau-Cedian Republic, "what about species that are already oppressed? Does your compact extend to them?" Sarah had been expecting this question. After the hegemony's defeat, dozens of enslaved species had sent secret messages asking for human help. The Human Protection Compact offers membership to any species that commits to peaceful coexistence and mutual aid. Members receive the same protection we give to the Kythera, but we're not going to force freedom on anyone. Liberation only works when people want it. This was causing major changes across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered centuries ago were suddenly declaring independence, knowing that humanity would back them up if they faced retaliation. The old empires built on conquest and slavery were crumbling. The Andromedan collective representative stood up. "What makes you think you can police the entire galaxy?" "We can't," Sarah admitted. "And we don't want to. But we can make it very expensive to be a bully. When aggressive species know they'll face human retaliation, most of them choose to be less aggressive." Captain Maria Santos, now Admiral of the Human Defense Force, had briefed Sarah on the current military situation. Human fleets were stationed at key points throughout the galaxy, but they spent most of their time on disaster relief and escort duty. The mere possibility of human intervention was preventing most conflicts before they started. "The floor recognizes Elder Zin of the Kythera Collective," announced the council president. The crystal being's skin glowed warm gold as he addressed the assembly. "Before meeting humanity, my people lived in fear. We jumped from system to system, hiding, always running. Now our children grow up free and safe. This is what the Human Protection Compact offers, a galaxy where being peaceful doesn't make you a victim. Zin's words carried weight because everyone could see the proof. Cathra colonies throughout human space were thriving. Their healing technology had eliminated diseases that had plagued dozens of species for millennia. Their environmental restoration was turning dead worlds into garden paradises. But it was more than just Cathera success. Other refugee species had joined the growing alliance. The timid sylph, whose music could calm violent emotions, had established cultural exchange programs. The brilliant but physically weak cerebrans shared their advanced mathematics and physics. Species that had been prey for centuries were now contributing members of a protective alliance. Vote on the motion, called the council president. All in favor of recognizing the Human Protection Compact? 2/3 of the species voted in favor. The abstentions came mostly from aggressive empires that weren't ready to give up their expansion plans. None voted against it. They were too afraid of human retaliation. After the vote, Sarah met privately with representatives from several smaller species. The Gossamer delegate, whose people looked like living crystal spiders, spoke first. Ambassador, our worlds are constantly raided by the hegemony's client species. Would humanity really protect us? Yes, Sarah said without hesitation. Send us the details of these raids. We'll make sure they stop. The Gossamer's crystalline body brightened with hope. Just like that? Just like that. But in return, we ask that you share your knowledge with other compact members and help defend species that are even smaller than yours. This was the genius of the human system. Instead of just offering protection, they were building a network of mutual support. Strong species protected weak ones while everyone shared knowledge and resources. A year later, Admiral Maria Santos stood on the bridge of the flagship UHS Guardian, watching as hegemony forces finally withdrew from the last Cathra colony world. The crystal beings were going home after decades of exile. Admiral, her communications officer reported, message from the surface. Elder Zin wants to speak with you. Zin's image appeared on screen, his skin cycling through rainbow colors of pure joy. Admiral Santos, I have no words to thank you. My people are home. You don't need to thank us, Maria replied. That's what friends do. The galaxy has changed because of humanity, Zin continued. You showed everyone that strength can serve compassion instead of conquest. Our children will sing songs about this day for 1,000 years. As the last hegemony ship jumped away, Maria thought about how much had changed since that first meeting 3 years ago. Back then, humanity had been alone among the stars. Now they were part of a growing alliance of free species. The galaxy was far from perfect. There were still tyrants and bullies out there, but now they had to think twice before attacking peaceful species. They knew that somewhere in the dark between stars, human ships were watching, and humans kept their promises. All of them. President Johnson's final address to the Human Federation summed up the new reality. We didn't set out to change the galaxy. We just wanted to protect our friends. But sometimes doing the right thing has bigger consequences than you expect. The Galactic Protection Compact now included over 50 species. Trade was booming. Scientific discoveries were being shared freely and wars were becoming rare. Former enemies worked together on projects that benefited everyone. And at the center of it all were the Cathera, the small peaceful species whose rescue had started everything. Their crystal cities on dozens of worlds served as symbols of what the galaxy could become when strength protected weakness instead of exploiting it. In the end, humanity's greatest victory wasn't military. It was proving that a better way was possible. They had given the galaxy something it had never had before: hope that good people could win. The warning had been simple: do not threaten our friends. The galaxy had learned to listen.